I can't pinpoint the exact moment when everything around me shifted from strange to wrong. It probably didn't start that night by the sea, nor in the moment when I saw the water glowing with a sickly green light from beneath. No, it began much earlier, on the day I first found the book. At that time, I had already spent several months living in a small, isolated coastal settlement where I hoped to finish my dissertation on the folklore of northern regions. The place was forgotten by both God and man. A handful of crooked wooden houses, a single store, a post office that worked when it felt like it, and an old lighthouse perched on a jagged cliff, long extinguished, but still standing like a broken tooth. I came because of the rumors. In the regional archive, I found mentions of local beliefs, tales of nocturnal lights over the sea, visitors from the deep, and an ancient ritual performed once every few decades. It all sounded like an extravagant blend of fishermen's superstitions and remnants of some long-lost pagan cult, strange enough for me to take a flight, a bus, and, finally, a 2-hour ride in a rattling old Neva driven by a man who barely spoke. They settled me in an old house that once belonged to the village librarian. It stood closest to the sea, and at night I heard the waves crashing against the rocks, even with the windows shut. At first, the sound comforted me. Later, it did in single quotes. The locals had quirks of their own. They didn't mind answering questions about fishing, storms, family legends. But the moment I mentioned the lighthouse, the mood changed. Their eyes slid away, their mouths tightened. Some grew irritated, others are strangely afraid. Best not go there. An old woman selling dried fish told me one evening. At night, the sea there is not yours, not mine. I asked, whose, then? She looked at me as if measuring how far I could run, if I ever truly understood. Someone else's, she muttered, and the conversation was over. During the day, the lighthouse looked like any other abandoned structure, chipped paint, broken windows, rusted metal. But at night, whenever I got up for a glass of water and glanced out the window, I felt it. The darkness around the tower was thicker than it should be, as if the night itself was denser there. And then the book arrived. It was a wet, grey, snow-like afternoon. Cold wind whipped ragged fog across the shore. I was sorting through the old librarian's belongings, faded catalogue cards, letters, inventory lists. That's when I found it. A small bundle wrapped in oil-soaked cloth and tied with brittle twine. No name, no date. Inside was a book, a real book, not a notebook or ledger. Dark cover, stained with age, no title. The pages were thick, yellowish, slightly rough to the touch. The handwriting was cramped and angular. At first, I thought it was a journal, until I read the opening lines. And the house instantly felt colder. The text was in Russian, but scattered with strange words, unlike any language I knew. Still, the story was coherent. It spoke of the sea, of an ancient being dwelling beneath it, and of people performing a ritual every few decades to keep it from rising. The details were disturbingly specific. It described places I had already seen: the lighthouse, the fang-shaped cliff, the nearly vertical descent to the dark water. And worst of all, the date. The next alignment of the stars, late November. I checked the calendar. Late November was only a bit over a week away. At first, I assumed this was fiction, something the old librarian wrote for herself. But the deeper I read, the less it resembled a story. It contained excerpts from even older writings, strange dream descriptions, and words that seemed to crawl across my mind like living things. Then, at the end of the book, I found a trembling handwritten note. I hear its voice. It rises closer. The lighthouse no longer burns, and none can see its light except those it calls. They think they can flee, but the water finds them in their sleep. Soon the night of alignment will return. If no one stands at the cliff, it will rise on its own. Then no lighthouse will be needed, for the whole sea will burn with its eyes. The note was dated 30 years ago. I set the book down and realized my hands were shaking. Not from cold, from a sick, creeping pressure spreading through my chest. I pulled the curtain aside and looked outside. The sea was grey, restless, ordinary. But around the silhouette of the lighthouse, the darkness looked thicker, heavier. I dropped the curtain and turned on every light in the house. I didn't sleep that night. ***. The following days passed in a half days. I tried to work on my dissertation, reorganizing chapters, scribbling notes, pretending that nothing had changed. But no matter what I did, my mind drifted back to the book. I reread it over and over again, as though logic could somehow dissolve the unease clinging to me. The more I read, the more the words began to echo inside my skull. Some of the strange, unfamiliar terms, the ones that looked like fragments of some dead tongue, started surfacing in my mind without my permission. And at night, the sea sounded louder. The villagers grew tenser. People avoided me, especially near dusk. Old men sitting on benches would fall silent whenever I walked past. The air itself felt thicker, as if the entire settlement was holding its breath. One afternoon, a man I'd seen working on the pier approached me. Weathered face, heavy brows, hands scarred by rope burns. He didn't introduce himself. "You live in the librarian's house, right?" he asked. "Yes." "You find anything there? Anything written?" He watched my eyes very carefully. I didn't answer. "You know what I'm talking about." His jaw clenched. "If you found it, you should burn it." "What exactly?" I asked, though I already knew. "You know." His voice sharpened. "Better if you leave before the week is out, because of some book." I tried to laugh, but it came out hollow. "Not some." He looked at me the way a man looks at someone about to step through thin ice. "Do you think she died on her own?" He turned and walked away without another word. That night, I didn't burn the book, but I tried to hide it, wrapping it back in the oilcloth and locking it in an old chest in the storage room. It didn't help. The dreams began 2 days later. At first they were vague: dark water, a jagged cliff, an abyss yawning beneath the waves like an ancient mouth. Something stirred deep below, too large to clearly perceive, a shifting mass, immense and waiting. But in every dream, I felt the same thing. It knew I was watching. Gradually the dream sharpened. I no longer observed. I stood on the cliff beside the lighthouse, the wind stabbing needles of cold salt into my face. And I wasn't alone. Behind me, semi-visible figures stood motionless in a loose arc. Some I recognized from the village, some I had never seen. Their faces were hollow, as if their eyes were turned inward. In the deep below, something immense moved, not rising yet, but pushing against the darkness, as though testing it. Then I saw its eyes, not eyes as humans know them, to massive, glowing shapes far beneath the waves, greenish like rotting phosphor, and they were looking at me. I woke gasping, soaked with sweat. The house felt wrong, like the walls had inhaled with me. And the sea. It sounded closer, not louder from a storm. Closer. As though the shoreline had shifted a few meters toward the house during the night. By the end of the week, wind lashed the shore nonstop. The villagers seemed frayed, restless. Some boarded their windows, despite being used to storms. Late one night, someone screamed in the distance. I couldn't tell if it was a drunken fight or something else, and I didn't want to know. Then came the knock. Of course it was him, the man from the pier. He looked exhausted, shadows under his eyes like bruises. "Can I come in?" he asked. I nodded. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. "You read it?" he asked quietly. "Yes." "And you hid it?" His eyes flicked toward the storage room. "Didn't burn it. It's just a text," I muttered, suddenly feeling foolish. "I've studied folklore my entire life. It's culture, superstition." "This isn't culture," he interrupted sharply. "It's a pact." "A pact with what?" I laughed nervously. He stared at me without blinking. "With what's in the water." I opened my mouth to argue, but the argument died before it formed. Because suddenly, I remembered those glowing shapes in the dark. "You don't understand," the man continued. "The book isn't found. It chooses. Every time. It chooses someone. Last time, the librarian. Before her, another. Some ran. Didn't matter. The water came for them anyway." My mouth felt dry. Why keep the book at all? Then, He hesitated, then said, "Because it tells us what to do when the stars align. When it comes close. Without it, we wouldn't know how to make it sleep again." I swallowed. "And when is that?" He didn't answer at first. Then, 3 nights from now. Silence pressed between us. "What do you want from me?" I whispered. "Since the book chose you." He paused, lowering his voice. "You have to go out to the lighthouse, on the night of alignment, like the ones before you." I forced a laugh. "You can't be serious. You want me to take part in some ritual on a cliff because a book told you to?" "You've already been called," he said simply. "It sees you." Then he left. I didn't sleep at all that night, because even though I didn't open the chest, the book opened itself. Or maybe, it opened me. Asterisk. The dream that came next was not like the others. It wasn't a dream at all. It was too vivid, too heavy, too real. I stood once more on the cliff beside the lighthouse. Night howled around me, wind, salt, and the roar of the sea below. But everything was sharper now, clearer than waking life. Behind me stood the figures again, dozens of them, silent, unmoving. Their faces were hollow, shadows where eyes should be. Some I recognized, some were strangers, some didn't look entirely human. But all of them were focused on the sea. The water boiled with a natural motion. Something beneath it, something unimaginably vast, stirred. Then it rose, not fully, not breaking the surface, but pushing against it, warping it, as though the sea itself was just a thin skin stretched over something alive. And then I saw them again. Its eyes. No human mind was built to comprehend such scale. They were colossal, glowing sickly green, like ancient lanterns buried miles underwater. And they were looking at me. A voice behind me whispered, "Speak." I didn't want to. I tried to say I didn't remember the words, but my lips began to move on their own. Strange syllables spilled out of my mouth, harsh, guttural, rhythmic, words I had never learned, but which now felt carved into my bones. And the thing in the deep heard me. The water convulsed. The sea pulled itself inward, as if resisting. Its eyes dimmed, only slightly, but enough to show that it felt the words. "More," the voice whispered. I continued, the sounds twisting into shapes my throat shouldn't have been able to form. Each word made the sea tremble. Each phrase weighed on my chest, as though I was lowering chains into the deep. The creature stopped rising. It hovered there, held back. Barely. Finally, the last word tore itself out of me, and I gasped, choking on air. The sea surged against the cliffs, spraying cold foam over my feet. The creature began to sink. No, not sink, withdraw, retreating into the abyss with slow, dreadful reluctance. But before its eyes vanished, they turned. They turned directly to me. And in that moment, something crossed the distance between us. Not physically, something deeper. A recognition. A mark. As if a titan hidden beneath the world leaned close enough to whisper, "I see you." I woke screaming. My breath hitched, lungs burning. The room was dark, too dark. The streetlight outside flickered, as if smothered. But the sea was quiet. The storm had calmed. The wind had died. For the first time in weeks, the pounding in my skull subsided. I thought, hoped, it was finally over. But then I felt it. A presence in the room. In the corner, where the shadows overlapped, something was wrong. Not a shape, not a figure, just a density. A wrong mass, as if someone stood there, breathing with me, invisible but undeniable. I turned on the light. The corner was empty, but the feeling remained. My pulse hammering. I went to the storage room. My fingers trembled as I opened the door. The old chest was slightly ajar. I knew I had closed it. I knew it, inside. The book lay open, not where I left it, not wrapped in cloth, but exposed. Its pages spread. It was open exactly on the passage about the ritual. The ink seemed darker, fresher somehow. Below the original text were new lines, lines I had never seen. Written in the same trembling, uneven handwriting as the older note. But the ink looked recent. The words said, "He sleeps, deeper this time, but he remembers each one who speaks. They are his marks upon the shore." He won't come for all at once. He moves through depths of time, but when he returns, he follows the marks, and then no land will shelter them. There was no date. I slammed the chest shut, but I knew it was useless. I had already been marked. Full year has passed since that night. I no longer live in that coastal settlement. I packed my things and left less than a week after the dream. Some villagers watched me go with weary relief. Others, with pity. The man from the pier only nodded when I passed him. Did it work? I asked, not sure why. For a while, he said. For your lifetime, maybe. If you're lucky. I didn't ask what he meant. The look in his eyes told me I didn't want to know. I returned to the city, finished my dissertation, became a lecturer at the university. I talked to students about folklore, about the symbolism of the sea, the myths of ancient people, the fear of the unknown. Sometimes, as I speak, I have to bite down on a laugh or a scream, because I know it isn't myth. The book is still with me. I couldn't throw it away. It lies in the bottom drawer of my desk, wrapped in the same oil-stained cloth. I haven't opened it since, but some nights, the drawer shifts slightly, as though the pages inside rustle on their own. There's something else. This city is hundreds of kilometers from the nearest sea, but on certain nights, long after midnight, when everything becomes still, I hear it, a faint, rhythmic hum, like waves rolling against a distant shore, too faint to be real, too steady to be imagination. When that sound comes, I get up. I go to the window. I pull the curtain aside. The street outside is always empty, quiet, normal, but between the buildings, in the deepest dark, something moves, not visibly, not enough for the eye to catch, more like a pressure shifting beneath the pavement, a weight turning lazily under layers of concrete and earth. As if something vast is stirring far below. Something that remembers me. Sometimes I feel the gaze again, not from above, but from underneath, from the soil, from the foundations, from beneath the entire city, as if it's watching me through the thin crust of the world. I try to look away, close the curtain, focus on work. But whenever my knee brushes at bottom drawer, I hear a faint, papery rustle. The ink inside shifts, listens, and every time, I remember the final words written in the book, the words added only after I had spoken the ritual. He remembers each one who speaks. They become his marks on the shore, and I understand something I never dared admit before. That night on the cliff, I didn't save anyone. I only let him find me.